Hi, I'm Kerry Walde, Chairman of the Traverse Life Center. Welcome to Traverse Life Center TV, where it's our goal to help people develop to their full potential. Today we're going to talk about finding a job. Now remember, finding a job is a function of three areas. What you know, what you bring to the table, what services you can provide, what problems you can solve, what do you bring to the table? What do you know that has marketability? 2, who you know. Who do you know? 70% of jobs are received or gotten because of who you know, and how you work with people is very important. And then the third one is how you present yourself. And that's where we're going to focus today, specifically the interview. It is people that hire people. And so good people skills matter. And where you show that, you can have a really nice resume and it can look sharp, and it can get that phone call for you. It can get that employer saying, wow, I really want to talk to this person. But you're going to have to sit down face to face, because people read people and people hire people. So how you present yourself in person really matters. And in a society that interacts a lot virtually, whether it be through a screen or texting or through a chat room, whatever it is, we're losing a little bit of that. And I want to make sure that we can help equip you to have a great interview, great face-to-face time, so that that prospective employer says, I want this person.
Well, I was taught that somebody that's interviewing is at their best. So, you know, we're looking for people that are prepared, especially for the remedial questions, like tell me about yourself, why do you think you'd be a good fit for this? And amazingly enough, some people will come in and not be prepared for questions like those.
When I ask people that question, I want to know about their educational background. I want to know about their previous work history. I don't want to know about their family or their friends, or really what they're interested in outside of the work environment.
Tell the positive qualities of their personality, not necessarily their life story, but just the things about them that will make them equipped for that job and make them be a benefit to the company.
One of my favorite questions is, tell me about a time that you did not see eye to eye with a coworker or a supervisor. Describe the situation to me and tell me how you worked through it. And it's amazing the things that people will tell me. My boss told me to do something and I wasn't hired to do that, so I'm not going to do that. And I ask them how they work through the situation, and they'll tell me that's just what I told them to do. The greatest strength, a lot of times people will say, I don't know. Well, come prepared to answer what your greatest strength is.
And the weakness?
Same thing with the weakness. I get a lot of I don't know. Sometimes they say, oh, I talk a lot, or like I'm not on time. Well, that's not something that I want to hear, that you're not on time.
About what is your greatest strength and weakness? How do you handle that?
Be real. Don't have false humility. That we all have weaknesses, and if you're just honest about it, usually it's stuff that can be taught and trained through. And
what's a good answer for that?
Maybe you're competitive, and so sometimes you have to rein yourself in, or you're very passionate about something, or you're a take charge person, and sometimes you have to step back and submit to leadership. Don't tell me that you want this job because you need the insurance or you need the money. Tell me what you can do for me as an employer, that you have the gifts or the talents or the passions, and you just really want to be part of it.
You shouldn't say, because I really need a job, and well, my mom says I gotta start paying for my car.
You've heard that?
I've got bills, oh yeah. I want this job because my friend works here, because my boyfriend works 2 stores down and we could have our breaks together. Oh, by the way, could you put our schedules to, you know, I mean.
You've heard that?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Be prepared to tell me why I should hire you. And let me know you're interested in the job by the way you sit, by the questions that you ask. You need to tell me what your assets are, why it will make a difference in my bottom line. It's important to have set goals for the next year, the next 5 years, even down the road. A lot of times I'll get people that say, I don't know what my goals are. I don't really have any goals. Well, that is the time to sit down and figure them out.
Have some goals. Even if you have to think about them just before you walk into the interview, have some goals. It is important for the employer to know if you're going to be around long term. If you're looking at something that this could be your career long term, that will put you in a different category as opposed to the person who's just looking for a summer or part-time job or is getting ready to relocate in 6 months. And so you need to be upfront and honest with that with the interviewer, because they might need seasonal help, and so you might be perfect if that's what you're looking for. If you're looking for something long-term in career and they don't have that available, it's important for you to know that too, because I think the interview process is as much for the employer as it is for you to feel out the company and make sure that it's a good fit for you, that it's not just something that you're going to do for 2 weeks and be like, this doesn't work, because then they've wasted the time and money training you, and you've wasted the time and now have to look for a new job.
And also, don't talk about your personal life and your family life. They don't need to know that you've got a child or that you're married or divorced. A lot of times, too much information can hinder somebody from getting a job. This one is very eye-opening, and people are usually quite candid. They will tell me, I didn't get along with my boss, or I didn't like the way they did things, or I wasn't making enough money, or I wasn't having enough hours. It's really important to, maybe it was that you weren't seeing eye to eye with your boss, but you need to flip it around and say, you know, we just had a different idea of what the company needed, or we just had a different idea from each other of how to present things.
Okay, one of the things that drove me nuts was when I would look at an application and I would see that there's been a big gap, or that somebody just quit their job 3 months ago. And if the reason is something like, oh, I just wasn't getting the hours, I just wasn't happy there, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And my question was always, well, now you don't have any hours, and now you don't have a job at all. So my question is always, why did you quit your job before you had a new job? And so take that into consideration, one, before you quit a job, because it's great if you are employed and we can say, hey, why are you thinking about leaving this job? As opposed to, why did you leave and are now jobless for X amount of times? Obviously, there's some situations where that needs to happen, but most of the time, that gives employers an idea that, well, if they did this there, how do I know that they're just all of a sudden not going to decide to hightail it?
They are waiting to hear a dollar amount.
Why?
Because they want to know if you are somebody that they could even look at hiring. If you say something that's too much, you're just out of the ballpark. If you say something that's too low, then you might be selling yourself short. So what I like to hear is, you know, whatever the industry is paying for this type of position is what I'm looking for. Come prepared to ask very good questions. Bring a notepad and a pen with you.
They should ask what's going to be required of them as far as a job. I love when they ask questions that might portray that they're going to be a self-learner, so they're going to take the initiative finding out how far they can advance in the company, what are the opportunities available. Will it just be sales? Will it just be cashier? Finding out as much as they can about the company. Do they get to wear the clothes that they're, if they're excited and want to do that, that's a good sign.
To really dig into what the position entails. What is it that you want me to do? What are my goals for the first 6 months? What are my goals for the next year? What are some of the obstacles that are taking place in this position right now? What is it that you want me to take care of? And don't ask about what the compensation or the benefits are. They will get to that eventually.
Should you let them bring that up, or should, when in the process should that be, broached?
If they're interested in you, they will broach it. And then at that time, you can expand on that.
After the interview, if the interviewer doesn't give you a specific answer right then, they can call a couple days later and check in and just, obviously at first when you're leaving the interview, thank the person for the opportunity, let them know that you're interested in the position and that you hope to hear from them soon, and then go ahead and be in contact only like once or twice, and if hopefully the interviewer should give you an answer. Otherwise, they'll give you a timeline of when they'll be making their decision by, and just be okay with that. Don't be overly anxious, but then once the answer's given, don't keep calling.
Send a handwritten thank you note. Take each time to learn from the experience.